Hi once again, welcome to Investor Talk by Trustline. I am your host, Prerna. Our video series is your one-stop shop to help you achieve your financial goal while attaining full economic freedom. And in today's episode, we will talk about emergency funds, how to go about setting it up, why it's actually important to have one, and of course the steps to help you plan for it. If the current coronavirus pandemic has taught us anything, it's that an emergency can hit at any time. It's like that unwanted guest you never knew was right outside your door. Honestly, in this situation, there's nothing much you can do about it but be prepared. It is not too tough to understand why it is essential to have an emergency fund. Well, consider it as your life's shock absorber that will prevent you from adding unnecessary debt in your time of need. While an event such as earthquake, a flood, a health problem that keeps you from working, or an economic downturn that results in job losses and income cuts may be beyond your control. However, ensuring that you have the finances to go about it and get through this tough period is most important. In times like these, how do you go about your life and meet your essential expenses? The easiest solution is to set aside money for an emergency fund that will help you get through the day. Come, let's dive into today's topic by first understanding what exactly is an emergency fund. An emergency fund is a set of funds created to help you get through the tough times in life and meet your obligations without relying on unforeseen loans, overusing your credit card, or selling and mortgaging your current possessions or assets. For your emergency fund, you may need to factor in obligatory expenses, which are those expenses that are absolutely necessary. Obligatory expenses ideally comprise of food, medical treatment costs, rent, monthly loan payments, school fee, basic repair and maintenance, insurance premiums, and anything else you consider absolutely necessary. No, it's not as tough as you think it is. Don't give up before you've even begun. Saving is primarily a psychological game, and trust me, you can totally win at this. Even if you're starting from scratch, putting money aside on a regular basis, even in small quantities, it will surely help you reach your objective. It simply takes a bit of patience and a little self-control. Coming to the big question, how to save for an emergency fund? To put it simply for you, budgeting is the bedrock of any financial strategy. If you're just getting started with an emergency fund, there are 3 essential actions you must take. 1. Record your monthly household expenses and categorize them. You can categorize them into obligatory and discretionary expenses. Do this for a couple of months to get an average figure of your obligatory expenses. What will happen? Conducting this exercise could also help you take stock of your expenses and sieve out the non-essential spendings. Well, you never know how long an emergency will last. So setting aside money for an emergency fund that will last at least 3 to 6 months or say a quarter to 2 quarters is preferable. Okay, let's understand this with an example. Assume that your household monthly expense is a total of 50,000 Indian National Rupee. In that instance, your emergency money should be between 1.5 lakh and 3 lakh at all given times. This may of course depend on a number of factors like the total number of wage earners in your house, the number of dependents, and certainly your monthly expenses. Now that we've spoken about the importance of this fund, let's move to understanding how can you build your emergency fund. Honestly, I won't be very surprised if you feel that the amount of money needed to start saving for an emergency fund may make you worried and cause you to postpone your intentions to begin with. But no, use basic ways to build the requisite financial corpus without worrying before giving up. The first one is to set a target for establishing your fund. Guys, setting a target can help you achieve your objective more quickly. Set a date for completing your emergency fund objective. based on your present financial condition. It may be 3 months, 6 months, or even 12 months. The earlier you begin, the easier it will be for you to raise the necessary finances. Coming to the next step is to take stock of your current assets. You might already have some assets that you could put into your emergency funds. It could be an additional cash in your saving account or some fixed deposits that aren't tied to a specific aim, for example. You can allocate some of these amounts towards your emergency fund. Next, the next step is one of the main steps in building up the emergency fund. Make a commitment to yourself on a monthly basis. Draw a monthly commitment towards your fund based on your shortfall figure, which is the amount by which your requirement exceeds the cash you have. Let's understand this with an example again. If your entire fund demand is say 3 lakh Indian National Rupee and you already have a fixed deposit of 1 lakh, you might withdraw 1 lakh rupees from your current savings and save another 2 lakh rupees. Splitting the cost into monthly installments is a simple method to get the money together. Say, if you set up a 6-month goal for yourself, you'll need to save around 33,000 INR per month. You may have to be specifically frugal until you reach your goal, but the effort will be well worth in long term. I'll give you another tip. This could be to make a separate account for the money you're accumulating. When you have extra money in your saving account, there is always the temptation to spend it. Instead, put any spare cash that isn't tied to any of your goals into a separate account to build up a capital for your emergency fund. This would actually help you segregate the additional income from your expenses. And last but not the least, any lump sum amount input should be directed to your emergency fund. Putting away any lump sum inflows such as bonuses, tax refunds, or gift cards as credit to accomplish your goal of building an emergency fund as soon as possible is an absolute win-win situation. So the bottom line here is that in the event of a financial emergency, an emergency fund acts as a parachute saving you from a free fall. As a result, always give it the attention it deserves to avoid that fall. All in all, to bring today's episode to a conclusion, we can say that it's always a good idea to examine your emergency fund needs at least once a year. As things in your life may change, such as starting a business, taking a sabbatical from work, adding a new family member, or changing lifestyle. Well, that's all we have in this episode for you. Do subscribe to us to stay updated as we help you achieve your financial goals. Stay tuned to the next one.